Hello and welcome to this series. I'm Tyler Coffin, and throughout these videos we're going to be taking a look through ImageLine's flagship digital audio workstation, FL Studio, taking you from beginner to being perfectly comfortable using and creating with the program. And although this is a beginner's guide, we'll cover a lot of information that even some who are well into using FL Studio may not readily know. So whether you're totally green and just getting started, or have some background knowledge and want to really strengthen the foundation of your understanding, we're going to get you up and running. So to begin with, the approach to FL Studio can be seen as a little bit different than how other DAWs work. For instance, if you're coming from Pro Tools or Studio One, and you have a certain workflow ingrained in your head, some of the ways that things are set up in FL Studio may seem a little bit foreign, though certainly not too difficult to get a grasp on once you jump in and get a feel for it. But on the other hand, if you are completely new to digital audio, MIDI programming, or any computer music production, it's entirely possible that the process of FL Studio will fit your natural mode of operations even better than other programs. Like, to me, it does fit my manner of thinking quite well. So to generalize a bit, it comes down to your personal preferences and organization, the aims you have in the types of audio musical techniques that you value in your workflow, the strengths, weaknesses you have that you might need tools to complement or keep in check, and just a lot of things along those lines. Another thing to note in my personal experience, it feels like FL Studio in a way was designed for people that don't necessarily have traditional physical hardware studio recording experience, whereas many other DAWs make a point to emulate such practices. And there's definitely overlap in that statement. FL Studio certainly takes inspiration from old hardware, and other DAWs definitely take inspiration from computer technology. And all of them take ideas from each other and implement different possibilities into their respective workflows. But you can sort of get a sense that FL Studio started from a cleaner slate for its design objectives when it got its start in 1997. And this, of course, opens up different development paths and possibilities, opportunities to create and work in different ways, which in turn breeds new forms of creativity in your productions. So whether your plan is to have FL Studio be your primary digital audio workstation or just another tool in your toolbox, it absolutely presents some excellent benefits to your production endeavors. One more quick thing in that sort of topic, some of the more aggressive supporters of other companies and programs sometimes make the assertion that FL Studio or some other DAWs are inferior in sound quality on a technical level than their favorite ones. And I don't see this as much nowadays, but in the past there was a bit of stigma involved in using certain programs, FL Studio included. And again, that's less prominent now because, of course, it's not really true. There are obviously a lot of settings involved for outputting sound, which of course we'll see along the way through the series, but in the end, all digital audio uses ones and zeros to approximate analog signals wherever you record or process it, and when the settings, skill level, and hardware, when applicable, are equal, you're going to get identical fidelity and quality regardless of the graphical interface it came from. So all that really counts is that you're comfortable and happy with where you are and how you work, and understanding all the ins and outs as best as possible is key to getting to that point. But with all those bits of introductory background sort of info out of the way, we're going to get into the actual workings of the program itself. And since this is a beginner's guide, we're going to start from the very beginning. You may notice that this setup is possibly a little different than what you may be seeing. And that's because I've done a bit of customization and optimization for my own workflow, which is of course a helpful feature of FL Studio, and we'll get into that. But to get things really initialized, we'll come back in the next video to a fresh install of the current version, 20.7, which, remember, with FL Studio's lifetime free updates, if you have a license, you can always get the next version, the newest features and all of that sort of stuff. So that's a huge benefit to always have the most up-to-date version for free. These concepts, though, that we're going to be working on in the series are really focused on the core sort of info, so it's not like that's something that'll be patched out in the future. This is stuff that will be and has been a part of FL Studio for a long time. But anyway, we'll come back and get the ball rolling with that fresh install in the next video, so I will see you then.